back to the explainer, everyone. You know, if you're a focused learner who's trying to push past that annoying hesitation of starting something completely new, well, you are in exactly the right place today. We're going to break down that paralyzing fear of looking embarrassing when you're just starting out. And we're drawing from some incredible source material today to map out the exact psychology of why we feel so awkward when we try, and more importantly, how to weaponize that feeling.
All right, let's dive straight into this absolutely massive number. $250 million. That figure right there represents the aggregate portfolio revenue generated last year by the incredibly successful entrepreneur we're analyzing today, Alex Hormozi. Now, when we see a massive number like that, it's just so easy to assume they were born polished, right, professional, and just destined for success from day one.
And honestly, the sheer heights of his current success get even wilder. On top of that huge portfolio revenue, he actually broke a Guinness World Record. He generated $16 million in non-fiction book sales in just a single weekend. Today, his whole machine pumps out an astounding 450 pieces of content a week. I mean, this is the summit. This is the polished final product that we all see scrolling through our feeds.
But I want you to juxtapose all those massive, intimidating numbers with this quote. Hey guys, Alex here, welcome back. No, it's horrible, right? That is an exact quote. He was reflecting on his very first, super cringe, awkwardly lit attempt at making a YouTube video. It wasn't slick at all. He was literally begging people for money, trying to run local gym ads, and his delivery, it was entirely uncomfortable.
So here's the fundamental trap we all fall into. We absolutely cannot judge our chapter 1 by someone else's chapter 250, or, even their chapter 1000. We just can't paralyze ourselves by comparing our awkward, messy beginnings to someone else's polished summit. That comparison isn't real. It's completely made up in our heads.
Section 1. The psychology of cringe. Understanding the fear. So, to move past this emotional dread, we're going to transition into a logical, analytical breakdown of what is actually happening in our brains. Let's look at how the source defines shame. It's actually quite simple. Shame is that feeling we get when we break the rules set by other people. It's totally external pressure. Society, your peers, or your family. They have this set of expectations, and when you step outside of those bounds, boom, you experience shame.
Guilt, on the other hand, is distinctly internal. Guilt is the feeling of breaking the rules and the standards that you have set for yourself. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and when you fail to meet your own expectations, that's when guilt kicks in.
Now, the contrast here is absolutely key. Shame is breaking someone else's rules, while guilt is breaking your own. We so often conflate these two emotions in our daily lives, don't we? But separating them, that is the absolute first step to overcoming the fear of judgment. You really have to stop and ask yourself, am I feeling bad right now because I let myself down, or because I violated some invisible rule set by an outsider? Which leads us to the most important definition of all, cringe. When someone looks at your new project and calls your efforts cringe, they're basically saying they feel embarrassed for you. But the source reveals a fascinating truth here. They aren't actually embarrassed for you. Calling something cringe is actually a defensive status play, cleverly disguised as secondhand embarrassment. It really just means your effort and your growth are threatening their status.
So we have to ask the big question. Whose rules are we actually breaking? If someone calls you cringe, they're trying to enforce a rule on you. But did you ever actually agree to their rules in the first place? And think about it. If we let them set the parameters, what outcomes do their rules even optimize for? Usually, it's staying exactly where you are. So if you're breaking their rules and making them uncomfortable, you know what? You're actually on the right path.
Section 2. Why caring looks cringe. Mocking real effort. This leads us directly to this bizarre cultural phenomenon where simply showing that you care about something is suddenly mocked in our society.
Basically, to those who don't try, caring equals cringe. The creator points out that people who ask why you're taking things so seriously, well, they're almost always people who have never taken anything seriously in their entire lives. They try to be cool by pretending they don't have to try hard, but in reality, they're just losing. The only people who think caring isn't cool are people who just never grew up.
And it is just incredibly easy to mock effort. Think about it. If you strip away the passion, literally any high-level pursuit sounds completely ridiculous to an outsider. Bodybuilding, it's just oiling up and posing in tiny trunks. Competitive chess, obsessing over little wooden pieces in dead silence. Making YouTube videos, setting up little lights in your bedroom to talk to a camera. Writing a book, locking yourself away to type words alone that no one might even read.
Anyone can make anything sound cringe simply by mocking the care that gets put into it. But the source shares this incredible realization, quoting another creator, Dom Mazzetti. He says, "The cringiest thing of all is to be scared about looking cringe." Think about that for a second. The ultimate failure isn't looking silly while you try to build something. The real ultimate failure is lacking the guts to commit to anything at all, simply out of fear of what some spectator might think.
Section 3. Documenting your struggle. Keep the archives. So if we accept that the early days are pretty much guaranteed to be messy, awkward, and embarrassing, how should we actually handle them? We certainly shouldn't hide them.
Well, the creator in our source material actually hit absolute rock bottom. He lost everything for a second time and found himself with just $1,000 left in his bank account. And instead of hiding away in shame, that is exactly when he began deliberately recording his journey. He made his very first podcast with the specific goal of documenting his lessons, creating an artifact to look back on as he eventually moved up.
Building an archive like that serves 3 really powerful purposes. First, it forces you to acknowledge your current reality. Second, you document the messy, totally unpolished beginning. And third, it builds the literal foundation of your comeback story. He notes that legends like Kanye West documented their early days purely because they believed so hardcore that they were eventually going to win. If you believe you're going to win, your current awkward phase is really just the compelling beginning of your documentary.
We just have to accept this hard reality. The world is way too rational a place to reward the undeserving. You simply cannot skip the awkward phase. The world is not going to just hand out massive rewards to people who haven't put in the time to earn the skills. To get good, you literally have to be willing to be bad for a very long time.
Section 4. How to deserve success. The ultimate formula. So, how do we actually push through the cringe and achieve those high-level goals we've set for ourselves?
It all comes down to a simple 3-step iterative process. 1. You must start. Yes, it's going to be cringy, but you won't be alone. 2. You must take the inevitable negative feedback and actually use it to improve. And 3. You must never stop. This is the exact mechanical process required to bridge the gap from your messy Chapter 1 all the way to your successful Chapter 250. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a really powerful thought from Charlie Munger. To get what you want, you must deserve what you want. Think about your highest ambitions right now. Are you willing to endure the cringe of being bad for a very long time just so you can finally deserve to be great? Embrace the awkwardness, document the journey, and just keep building. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.